Hey guys, Matt here with 1HP, and today I want to talk to you guys and help you understand strain. And also at a very basic level, what happens to our tendons when we're in pain or when it's overused. Another thing I want to underline today is the importance of motor coordination on returning to play, and I'll explain that later in this video. So I've mentioned this several times in some of my videos, and many if not all of the pain conditions that we experience in esports are related to repetitive strain and overuse. And our tendons and muscles, we have this threshold of activity. Activity meaning mouse clicking, keyboard movement, shoulder movement when we're moving the mouse, that they can tolerate. And once that threshold is overcome, it becomes injured or strained, and the tissue breaks down. And if we provided the right environment to heal, that meaning active rest, appropriate lifestyle changes, exercise to address any mobility, strength, coordination issues, and also the use of modalities, which are things like heat and ice to supplement and provide that more nourishing, healing environment, then we'll be able to return to play without pain or without any issue. If we don't, we allow the strain to potentially develop into something that's more recurring or more chronic, and that can lead to other worse conditions like carpal tunnel or tenosynovitis or the Quervains. But realize that whenever we have pain, it's not immediately those conditions, it's just tissue irritation in the beginning because we're working past that threshold a little bit. So a lot of the times we're quick to diagnose ourselves after reading online, oh, I have carpal tunnel, stage 10, but most of the time it's just repetitive strain at a low level, and you can make some really quick changes to relieve that pain. So when I talk about motor coordination, what do I mean? It means our ability to plan and execute desired biomechanical movements like this through the connection of our muscles and nerves. So when we strain our tendons and muscles by overusing it, typically playing for extended periods of time with poor posture, or if we don't exercise as much, our muscles don't have this high enough threshold, so it gets subject to strain a little more quickly. It has a lower threshold. It affects our ability to plan and execute these movements. So the connections of the nerve and muscle doesn't work as well. Our bodies are really good at protecting itself, and because of that, it tends to make changes so that it prevents further injury to our tendons and muscles when there's pain or when there's strain. And it does this in two major ways. One, the muscles just don't work as well as they used to. And I'll give you guys an example. Let's say we're talking about this muscle, which, well, there's several muscles here, but we'll talk about it as one group. And it bends your wrist upwards. Let's say there's 1,000 or 100 muscle fibers in this muscle right here. And each finger represents 25 fibers for the muscle. So 25, 25, 25, 25, that's 100 fibers for this muscle here. And normally, when we move our wrist up, all 100 fibers are working. So all 4 fingers are working to move it, to pull the muscle and pull the tendon so that it brings your wrist up. But let's say there's pain. You've been playing for 4 to 6 hours. You have a little pain here. It's been going on for a week, and it hasn't been really changing. It seems to be getting worse a little bit. The 4 groups of 25 fibers changes to this, or sometimes even this. So then only 50 fibers are working. 50% of are working. And in that way, it allows our body to reduce how much actual tension is going on to either the muscle or the tendon that's injured. Our body protects itself by turning off some of these muscles here. And while that's a great protective mechanism, if we don't address that after the pain calms down, if we rest and the tendon heals, our body is still in the mode where we're only using 2 or 50% of what we normally do. So it's really important for us to address that and change that so that we can return to playing without pain. So that's the first way. Our muscles just don't work as well. The connection between the muscles and the nerves changes when we have pain. Secondly, something called stress shielding happens to the tendon, and this is typically relating to tendon injuries and tendon pain. Think of your tendon as having outer fibers and inner fibers. And our bodies protect the outer fibers, which tend to get damaged more initially from tension by increasing the tension to the deeper fibers. And this actually changes the properties of the entire tendon, makes it weaker, it changes its thickness, and it reduces in length. And that affects the ability of the tendon to do its job, which is to transfer force from the muscle to the bone. And that, again, can lead to a reduction of the threshold for damage to the tissues. And that also increases the likelihood of further strain. So this goes hand in hand with the first change our body makes. Our muscles and our tendons both change so that not all fibers are working. That lowers our threshold for stress. And then it becomes really important for us to consider these changes when we attempt to manage the causes of pain. And we have to perform the right exercises that target these changes and increase the threshold to stress, so we can play for longer and with less pain. So I want to show you guys one exercise for the PC gamers out there that utilize these two fingers to lift your fingers up to click the mouse. And it's going to target some muscles, some slips of fibers that allow you to do this motion. So we'll call this exercise the muscle setting exercise or muscle activation exercise for this muscle right here. And all I want you guys to do is you're going to hold your hand like this. You can hold it in the mouse position. Well, I'll show you right here. Just like this. Bring your wrist straight into neutral. Put your two fingers up like this. And you're just going to give yourself some resistance here. You're going to gently push and match the resistance and hold it for about 5 seconds and then relax. And then again, match the resistance. So you're going to bring your fingers up toward the ceiling and then relax. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're doing that for 10 times, 5 seconds each. And you should start to feel it along here. If you are feeling it anywhere else, you're not doing it correctly, or you have to work on it a little bit so that you do feel it here. So it's okay to feel maybe a little discomfort, a 3 out of 10 of aching, but anything more than that, don't do. If it's sharp, stop. And realize you are activating these slips of fibers over here. So this can be a great addition to your exercises before you game, as I mentioned, to activate more of your fibers when you play. And do this in addition to some of the exercises that I've shown you before, which I'll link at the end of this video. And if you do that, you'll really work toward being more healthy, at least in your wrists, or if you do some of the muscle activation exercises for some of the other muscles, to be more healthy as a gamer. And I will be showing or coming out with more videos that will kind of demonstrate how you guys can do that. And remember, the bottom line with all of this is that we want to ensure our threshold for stress stays high after an injury, because our bodies make changes that reduce that threshold. It sucks. So we can achieve this by doing these specific exercises that I showed you guys earlier. 10 repetitions, 5 seconds each time, including it in your exercise routine before you game or in between your gaming sessions. And again, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Look out for more tips next week on how I can help you guys live, game, and replenish your HP. Thanks again. I'll see you guys soon.